and welcome to Stop Now, a social experiment where we stop, listen, and share. I've been working on the hand movement, so that's something new this week. We are back, and I am back. I'm Nate, and this week we're going to have a great conversation with a very special guest. I am joined, of course, by the regular team here. Shiva, good to see you as always, my friend.
Hi. Yeah. Hi.
And we are joined by the man in the mask, the voice of the voiceless, JK. Hello, JK.
Hi, Nate.
We also have with us this week, Amer. Hello, Amer.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, Partho. Partho, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Hello, everyone.
Yes, so it is good to have all of you here. And this week, like I mentioned, we have a very special guest. So let me introduce her to you guys and the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, we're going to be talking to Kujichagulia. Hello.
Hi, Miss Kujichagulia here. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. Before we kind of get into some deeper conversations, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, I am a retired educator, senior citizen, elder, owner and operator of resolvingracism.com, where we specialize in not navigating. We don't train people to motivate, accommodate, or navigate racism. We train people to eliminate and resolve racism.
I love that. I love that. I need that on a t-shirt.
Pardon me?
I said, I love that. I need that on a t-shirt. That we're not here to navigate. We're here to eliminate racism.
Definitely.
So how did you get started in this mission, in this journey? Has this always been a mission of yours?
Well, my mom was who grew up working on a plantation, picking cotton, made sure that all of her children got educated. So we were all educated. And when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. came to visit California in the Bay Area, she took us to see him. And upon that visit, Dr. King asked us all to be drum majors for justice. And that's what I have been doing since the 60s. So I started out, thought I would be the first Black female Supreme Court justice. Here we are today, interesting.
Yes.
When I realized that the legal system has nothing to do with justice, I got out of it and went into education so that I could educate people in the truth, because the truth is the only thing that will eliminate the lies of racism. So I've been doing that for the past 40 some years. Every level of education, preschool, elementary, high school, colleges, Stanford University, World College West, every prison in Northern California, San Quentin, Pelican Bay, Folsom Prison, you name it. I taught there everywhere. I trained women to be good parents and how to educate their children. I've always about education, and I do it using the arts as well.
That's incredible. Yeah, again, we're speaking with Kujichagulia, and you can see right there, if you're watching on the YouTube, the screen, Delete Racism, Save Humanity, HUE, Humanity. I love that. I love that. And I like that you just talked about different kind of situations where racism can be prevalent, because a lot of people think of racism just as, somebody saying the N-word to somebody or being bigoted, when it's like racism permeates every bit of American society.
True. And I'm sorry. If you look at the second page of the website under books, and I've made it very clear, because I am so tired of people having no concept of racism, because as long as America makes sure we have no idea what it is, we will never be able to resolve it. So the first thing that I did on page 2 of that website, I made it very clear in the box, what is racism? So there's a very obvious working definition of what racism is. I attempted to post it on your web page yesterday. I hope it did come through. But we do not see racism as a social manifestation. Social meaning it occurs in economics, education, entertainment, family, labor, law, politics, religion, science, militarism. It is across the board, it is ubiquitous in every area of our society. And it is based on the myth, most people leave out that word, is based on the myth of white supremacy, which is actually white psychopathy, but it is the social exploitation and oppression of all non-whites.
And this might be
Very clear.
I might be oversimplifying.
That information.
Yes. And I might be oversimplifying the question here, but we've obviously made some progress. But the last 4 years in particular, it feels like there's a want from some segment of the population to kind of go backwards rather than forwards. As somebody who has been fighting this fight for so long and educating people for so long, do you think we've gotten better? Do you think we're getting better?
No, we are not getting better. Well, see, I'm very clear. America has one job, that is to protect and serve. Protect racism and serve the interests of capitalism. That's America's job. That's why the one word we do not hear across the media is the word racism. We don't hear that anywhere because once you bring attention to something, then people act on it. So America's job is to force us to ignore it, delete it, pretend it never happened. So we are not getting better. We're not getting better at eliminating racism. We're getting better at hiding racism. We're getting better at pretending it doesn't exist. And especially after 2020, we have perfect vision around the world that shows us racism is ubiquitous. And most people want nothing to do with it. However, right here in the United States, we don't see any signs of it on the media anywhere. This country spent $1 billion encouraging people to get a shot in their arm. It did not spend a single penny encouraging people to stop practicing racism. Not only that, on December 30th, the year 2020, when the whole world came out against racism, the United Nations got an assembly together and took a vote of all the countries on the planet. That's more than 200 countries. And only a few said no to deleting racism. The United Nations put a proposal to the whole world and asked every country to do something to eliminate racism and xenophobia. The United States government voted no to fighting racism. And you can get to the other countries that also voted no. None of this was on the news. None of this appeared anywhere in the media because America's job is to protect racism at all costs. So it's our job to make sure that people are very aware of it and we are fighting it constantly.
Well, to the point that you raised, like if America does say that, maybe it's not good for their bottom line, which is the other part, to serve capitalism that you mentioned, that I thought it was a really excellent point.
Of course, and most people of us do not understand that capitalism created racism, not the other way around. The reason racism exists is to protect and maintain capitalism. So since America is a capitalist country, it must do everything possible to sustain racism.
So I guess my next question on that is there any way to eliminate racism then without eliminating capitalism?
Well, here it comes again when we are not aware of the true nature of capitalism, because we've all been lied to about capitalism. We've been taught to believe that capitalism is the best economic system in the world because it guarantees financial freedom and independent ownership. This is not true. Capitalism is only a few centuries old. However, people are millions of years old. People have been here for millions of years, and people have owned their things for millions of years. Without the concept of capitalism, the true definition of capitalism that the universities don't teach, the schools don't teach, and America does not teach, capitalism is the maximum exploitation of public resources for maximum profit for private entities. So if we know, and we do know, that capitalism is maximum exploitation for maximum profit, why would any humane being, any decent thinking individual want to keep a system around that thrives off the exploitation of others? We wouldn't, but that is what capitalism does. And racism tells everyone who to exploit. So capitalism gets to thrive because it teaches everyone that everyone who is not white is eligible for exploitation, enslavement, incarceration, you name it. If you are not white, then you are eligible to be exploited so that capitalism can prosper.
And a key component, as we see on the screen right there, the roots, recognizing the roots of racism. I think a key component to this is education, and something that has popped up over the last few years is this myth. I'll use the word that you used earlier. This myth of critical race theory, and what are we teaching our kids? Is this? And I think I know the answer to this, but I want our audience to get engaged in this conversation. Is this just a deliberate way to keep the system going by not telling the truth about what America really is?
Exactly. And just think about it. Why is there a push for critical race theory when we have crucial, real history? We have history. There is anthropological evidence that shows racism, reveals every aspect of it. There's no need to make up any theories. We have actual history, 500 years of history in the Western Hemisphere of racism, 6,000 years of history on the planet, starting from the Asian steppe. We have actual history that is never taught in school. And to avoid teaching history, racism has come up with this concept of a critical race theory. Remember, there is no such thing as race. There is only one race, the human race. But we have all been taught that there are separate races because America's job is to divide and conquer so that capitalism can prevail. So there's no need for theories. We've got 6,000 years of history we can look at to see racism evolve.
And again, folks, we're speaking with Ms. Kujichagulia, and I'm wondering, because I can hear the passion in your voice and how important this cause is for you. I'm wondering, what are some happy moments? Because it can't all be the fight, right? There's got to be some moments of joy, some moments of peace amidst the struggle. What makes you happy in terms of the mission and the work that you do?
Well, I have been doing, I've written books, I write books on racism, I have music about racism. If you look at page 4, that's what I do with my art and music. It's all about eliminating racism. Presentations, performances, workshops, training, that's what I do. What America does is it always gives us something else to focus on, the attraction, distraction, so that we do not ever actually focus on eliminating racism. So at this point in time in America's history, The new distraction is the myth of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, none of which has anything to do with eliminating racism. So thousands of people are being employed to push this concept, which does nothing except further keep us entrenched in racism. So we are all being distracted with a lot of things America developed so that we never look at racism. What I do is get us to focus on the reality of racism, like a magic show. America's got the magic show going on over here, but the truth of how that magic works or that act works is covered up somewhere else. You can't see it. So I am constantly uncovering the truth, because once we have the truth, it is impossible to continue with the lies.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yes. Yes, that's it. And once you see the truth, you have to move forward into the truth. So people like me are not promoted or acknowledged because I am everything America does not want us to know about, hear about, or see.
Are you hopeful for the future? Yes, it will. So are you hopeful for the future? Like when you talk to the younger people, are you hopeful that the next generation is going to be able to pick up the cause?
Well, I don't rely on hope. I do it all the time. I do it, but I don't rely on it. I rely on work and action. So if you look at the third page, I think, on my website, I have resources that I have developed to eliminate racism. Resources for age 2 to 102 that people can utilize to eliminate racism. These were tools that I used in my 40-some years of teaching. And once COVID eliminated my teaching career, I had to put all of my skills and all of these works into a product. So I don't hope the next generation figures it out. I am constantly working to give them tools and resources, books, music, games, everything that is needed to eliminate racism.
And there, our viewers can see right now, we've got that page up with the resources that you mentioned. You talk about COVID, and I would think, maybe it's because there is a part of me that wants to be hopeful. Like one would think in the midst of a shared event like the pandemic, people would start working together, but I don't think that's what we've seen at all. What have you learned or maybe had confirmed about America through the pandemic?
Well, one thing is we know that when people pay attention, they do things. The reason that this happened in 2020, it wasn't that racism started in 2019. It was that in 2020, people were forced to stay home and pay attention.
Yes.
We are programmed in this country to be distracted with all kind of games, toys, movies, hobbies, all kind of things that take our attention away from humanity. 2020 showed us that if we pay attention, we will see what's wrong in the world and come together. Now, ironically, technology enables us to do both. It enables us to pay attention and focus, but thanks to capitalism, it more than ever allows us to be distracted and divided. So it just comes down to education and information. Not enough people are educating people in the truth. And the people who are educating in the truth are pushed to the side and not acknowledged. The people who are creating distractions are the ones who are put in the forefront, because that allows America to protect racism and save the interests of capitalism.
I agree. And we're having a great conversation here, ladies and gentlemen, with Ms. Kujichagulia. I want to open up the floor, because I know you and I have been talking a lot, to the rest of the panel. If anybody has any questions or thoughts that they'd like to add, go ahead at this time.
So this is nice to meet you and learn more about your work, and it is mind-boggling for us. You have been doing this for almost 40 plus years, and we just started like a couple of years before, and we are still struggling to understand the problem itself. So the same thing can happen to others. Correct me if I'm wrong. So for generations and centuries together, the humans have struggled to deal with this problem. So how does that our work is going to create an impact?
Well, ironically, like I said earlier, humans have been evolving since 3.5 million BCE. 3.5 million years humans have evolved. Civilization, as we know it today, has been evolving since 200,000 BCE. 200,000 plus 2022 years of civilization. There was no racism. 100,000 years ago, there was no such thing as racism. 50,000 years ago, there was no such thing as racism. 20,000 years ago, no such thing as racism. We forget that this did not start until Caucasians started invading the Western Hemisphere thanks to the 1493 Papal Bull, the Doctrine of Inter Cetera, which the school system calls and miseducates as the Doctrine of Discovery. And it was at that point that the Catholic Church, 1493, the Inter Cetera, established the concept of white supremacy and racism. This is new in the human race. This is a totally new concept that has nothing to do with humanity or human history. Humans have been here 3 million years. The world has been here 4 billion years. People, 3 million years. Racism, 529 years. This is a drop in the bucket of history. But because America never teaches anything past the evolution of racism, we believe that racism has always been with us. It has not.
Yeah, I think that's wonderfully put. And we have running short of time, and we can definitely connect back again with you. We think we have to learn a lot from you, and it's quite amazing to know you. And this is a good starting point, I would say. And Nate, if you want like to questions.
Yeah, I guess because like you said, JK, like this could be we definitely need to do a part 2 to this conversation. But I guess before we wrap things up this week, you mentioned religion, and I just wanted to touch on that for a bit. Are you a religious person? What degree do you think religion plays a part in all of this, when something that on the surface you would think is a unifying force ends up being so divisive? What part does religion play in racism?
Religion is the Christian religion is the foundation of racism, Christianity. And that's why I mentioned papal bulls. When the Pope, the Vatican, when the popes make laws, they're called papal laws, P-A-P-A-L. One of the papal laws that the Christian church, the popes invented, we're talking about Pope Urban V, in 1493, they made a law called the Inter Cetera. This is all on my website. Please go look at it. It's on the second page of the website in the box that says, what is racism? The Christian church stated that all people in the Western Hemisphere were to be owned by Caucasians. This is what Christianity established, and we must be clear. What is being called Christianity today has nothing to do with the lifestyle of Jesus Christ. Those are two different things. So Christianity is now being used to promote racism. Christianity started racism, and Christianity went all around the world, conquering as many nations as they could with the Bible. And the Bible was rewritten again in 1611, the King James Version, which is the most prominent, because that was the version that was written to promote and protect racism globally. So Christianity created racism. Please look at the website. It's in there in the box. I myself, of course, my parents are racism. I myself do not practice Christianity. I practice humanity, because Christians were the ones who started enslavement capitalism. Christians were the ones who annihilated the indigenous populations of the Western Hemisphere. Christians were the ones who interned the Japanese during World War II. Christians are the ones who still perpetuate racism. Christians were the ones who voted no at the United Nations General Assembly to eliminate racism on December 30th, 2020. So we are using Christianity as armor or protection to pretend we are not being racist, because we are not clear on the concept of racism, Christianity, capitalism. We have all been miseducated in order to protect racism and serve the interests of capitalism. I am a spiritualist. My religion is Ifa. It goes all the way back to the Yoruba people of Nigeria, which goes all the way back to the Kemetic system of Kush, ancient Kemet, and Punt. So all of my religion is in my African culture. And unfortunately, most of us have no idea of the origins of Christianity and or the reality of it. Most people don't even know that the majority of those places spoken about in the Bible are in Africa. They see the word S-A-I-S, Sais, in the Bible all the time, not knowing that that's Kemet, Egypt. We have been so miseducated that we automatically submit to racism. That's why the only thing that's going to eliminate this is pure truth.
Well said. I think, Nate, we have a huge conversation debate to have, and I started liking her like when she said like Christianity created racism. So
Yes.
with that being said, like,
and don't take my word for it. And I would always tell my students this: don't believe anything I tell you ever. Prove me wrong. At the moment they would all go out trying to prove me wrong, guess what they find? The truth. So everyone just take a phone right now. 14, and you can start go through the website, it's right there. In the box that says, what is racism? Etc. What is it? Hashtag. Look up. I still use the word look up. Look up 1493 INCER the Intercetera. The United States calls it the doctrine of discovery. That is a whitewashed version to promote white psychopathy. Look at the actual documents from the Vatican, from the Pope, 1493. It's on the website.
all right.
And as you said earlier, the truth sets you free. Again, Ms. Kujichagulia, want to thank you so much for taking some time with us this week. Before we get out of here, promote the website one more time so that people can know where they can go to find out more of this and learn more about your journey.
Please, thank you. It is Resolving, RESOLVING, Resolving Racism, RACISM, resolvingracism.com. And my daughters and I, we do a talk show on this every Sunday on Facebook. You can join us on Facebook around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we talk about these concepts and topics on our show. Please join us. And I just want to thank you, Stop Now, your organization and your participants and your people for pushing forward with the bravery that you are showing in doing this, because it takes a lot of courage to do what America does not want you to do. I can't even tell you how many times I've been attacked by the KKK. Physically attacked, got shotguns, dogs, trucks, things. But there was no video back then. Arbery, the brothers,
Ahmaud Arbery.
Going on for centuries. And every time I have been attacked by the Klan, it's before cell phones, before all that stuff. So it goes on all the time. So I have no option other than to fight racism, as Dr. King has asked me to do. And we have to look at how many people have died, so that we could be here today to make the world a better place. How dare we betray them and not do just that?
Thank you so much. And we will join you as well this journey, and we'll talk again.
Thank you, and we'll definitely have to do this again, and have you on camera next time.
Yes, that would be great.
All right, then have a good day. Thank you. Bye for now.
Peace and blessings.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye bye.